Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the Virgo full moon for 2020. If you're watching this video, that full moon has already happened on March 9th. And so you want to check your time zone, check the internet for your local time zones. My apologies for those of you who are anxiously waiting for this video for twin flames. I do try my best to get these videos out 2 to 5 days ahead of the full moon energy or the new moon energy. So that you can understand how to work with the energies as they come in, because those of us who are quite sensitive can feel those energies up to a week in advance. Unfortunately, I just had another project and got a bit backlogged this time. So I had to let that take priority and allow this to come in second this month. So thank you for your patience. I always appreciate that. And for your grace. A couple of announcements before we get started. I have 3 announcements, and I'll see if I can timestamp this below the video once the video is up. So if you want to just skip straight to the reading, you can skip the announcements. The first announcement has to do with twin flame readings. The second announcement has to do with live mini reading dates. And the third announcement has to do with a very special Twins in Union panel that I'm going to be doing at the end of the month as we walk into the Divine Masculine's full new moon for 2020. That's the April Aries new moon. So if you want to hear about those, sit tight. If you don't, click below, fast forward to get into the reading. The thing about the twin flame readings, I announced this at the Pisces new moon a couple of weeks ago, where because of the way the Divine Feminine's asteroid that I read, Juno, is moving retrograde, and because of the way Juno is sitting facing the sign of the self, Aries, and because of the way the Divine Masculine is on a completely different mission. She is sitting here in partnership, facing herself. He's sitting here in structure and work, facing his emotional truths. These are 90-degree angles, very different energies. During this retrograde, which is a time of reviewing, self-reflection, looking within, my guidance has been up until today to really use the time to provide as many personal readings as possible to those of you who watch the channel. I do know that 95% of you are identifying as being on the Divine Feminine path as opposed to a Divine Masculine path. The paths for the two are just so different this year. They're both in these signs until the very end of this year. And so until further notice, until my guides give me the green light, personal readings are what we are doing. I did have someone make the incorrect assumption that twin flame readings are triggering to me at this time or triggering to my guides. That's actually inaccurate. What's going on is a very strong prompt based on what's happening astrologically to stay 1000% focused on ourselves at this time. And it's as a result of doing that that we'll reap the benefits that this manifestation year has in store for us. So if a personal reading is something that you want to do, I'll be talking about how to book that at the end or throughout this video. You can also just look in the description box and you'll be given information on how to book a personal reading. What else about this? Right, and so the calendar is open now for the first half of April. And this, the Divine Feminine, I have noted, we all have masculine and feminine energies. We get it. My guides have actually told me that the true meaning of the Divine Feminine is that she is the intuiting twin. And as the intuiting twin, you're just the one who is consciously aware of what's going on in the connection, holding the vision for where the connection is going, and being the field of manifestation through which the connection manifests in the 3D world. It's almost as if, in the tarot, the divine masculine is the magician card, the divine feminine is the high priestess card. He holds all the tools, she understands the way. This is kind of tricky for a lot of divine feminines because they kind of really expect the divine masculine to be in the energy of, come on over here with me to the high priestess card. Why don't you know the way too? That's not his job. Those two are counterparts, high priestess and magician. They have two very different roles for a very good reason. And so, in the messages for the divine feminine for 2020, which you can find on my channel, I talk about the importance of staying in the heart center. And so part of that has to do with understanding how to stay in your lane. So that you're not getting tugged into their stuff and their drama, which we are going to get into in this video because there's a lot of drama going on for divine masculines this year in particular, in the coming months. You want to stay in your lane, focused on channeling the highest vibration possible into the connection via your physiological field. And my guides provided me back in November, I think about 6 tips that they channeled for me. They were like, tell them this is how they need to do 2020. Here are the 6 things that will help them get through it because it's going to be a very difficult year. It's going to be challenging in a lot of ways. And so if you want to have a look at that, I highly recommend it. You can find it over here on my channel. And let's just see videos, let's just take a quick peek. Divine Feminine 2020, Her Heart Leads the Way, a new way forward for twin flames. So check that out. And then let's see, when my guides do tell me, hey, now's the time for twins to start refocusing on the joint energy, and that's going to be of the highest vibration and the highest service, then what there will be to do is to reopen the list for readings for the divine feminine and divine masculine for twin flames. And I will let you know. The first people to know that will be the people who are on my private list. So if you're not on my private list, I highly recommend you jump on it. The way to find out about my private list is to click on a video, click show more, down here, join. Join here, you'll see the little yellow hand. Click that link, it'll take you on over to where you can sign up. Let me know what kind of reading you're interested in, and I will provide that for you. Okay. As soon as my guides give me the green light, I will give you the green light and we can book twin flame readings again. The second thing is that they have been pretty lenient with me about the live mini readings being able to do one question. And during the one question mini readings, we can do some stuff around twin flame. So if you want to ask a single question about your connection during the live one question mini readings, you are welcome to do that. A couple of rules, I want to lay them out here because I know no one watches the very beginning of a live mini reading video. They just jump in when they have time. So it's important to me that you all understand the way this works, because I actually had someone get very frustrated with me because she did not provide the information that I requested. And she asked 2 questions. I answered the first question with the information she did provide, and she was very upset that she didn't get the information she wanted. So let me make this very clear. You get one question, and I can read one chart, your twin's chart, or the chart of the connection. And in order for me to be able to do that, you have to come prepared with the date, the time, and the location that you either met your twin, if you've got a question about where this whole thing is headed, or their birth, if you have a question about where they are at. If you don't have that information, but you have your own birth information, I will answer a question about you and your path. Okay? So now that we're all clear about that, let me give you the dates. So Saturday, March 14th, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 3 o'clock Greenwich Mean will be the first date for the live one question mini readings in March. The second date for live one question mini readings will be Wednesday, March 25th, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Greenwich Mean. And you can join me over on the live mini reading channel. Let me just pull that up so that you can find it. It's K Moon Live. It will not be on the channel that you found this video. It will be over here on K Moon Live. You do need to subscribe, hit that notification bell, click all. As soon as I go live, you can be the first paid and first read and not have to wait for an extended period of time to get your live mini reading. Okay, remember, live mini readings are one question each, and you do need to come prepared with the correct information. All right, the final announcement has to do with the Twins in Union panel. That panel is going to happen on Friday, March 27th, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. This panel will be happening right after the Divine Masculine's new moon for the 2020 year. The beautiful thing about this panel is you will have the opportunity to talk to Divine Masculines and Divine Feminines who are in union, who have been through exactly where you may be at if you are working toward a state of union, or who, if you are in a state of union, you can talk to them about the challenges that are unique to twins in union and how they are working through them. This awesome panel, I already have 4 couples confirmed. I'm excited to say some of the internet's favorites will be joining us. I surveyed my private list. Again, if you want to get on that, you can. I talk to them first about any and everything. The private list recommended for me the list of everyone that they wanted to hear from. So happily, 4 couples decided to say yes. If the 5th couple says yes, then I will break this up and I will have 2 different panels. So that's going to be very exciting. All of them in some way provide coaching and support services to help you work with these challenging energies of this year. And the reason I'm providing this panel is because so many of you, after having a great reading with me, you come back and you say, hey, can you help me understand this, or help me work through that, or what should I do about blah, blah, blah. And the reality is, as a reader, I want to be real blunt with you. I am a glorified town crier, a souped up hall monitor on the first day back of a new semester at college. My job is to read what the notes say. This is a giant newspaper to me. I read what it says and then to send you on your way to where class is. I do not hold classes. I can't help you. I'm not a coach. And so once I've read the information and told you where class is, it's really up to you to get the help and support you need to get the planets to deliver the highest vibrational outcomes for you. If you're low vibing it, not doing your work, the planets can only deliver more lessons. If you're high vibing it, doing your work, the planets can deliver a lot of grace and a lot of gifts for you. So my job is to help you make sure you're on the path of grace and gifts, okay? So definitely join that Twins in Union panel. Once again, the date is March 27th. It's a Friday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean. Mark your calendar for it, because this is your opportunity to, in one place, essentially kind of interview any of the twin flame coaches out here who could potentially help you break through to your next step. Find who resonates for you on your path. Okay. And then the last thing I'll say is that in the general video for this full moon, I laid out an entire set of the supportive energies that are in the mix this month, next month, and for the entirety of the year to help that we can leverage to make the most out of what's been a very confusing, extremely frustrating, highly challenging time as twins. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but especially if you're a twin happening to listen to this video, I know some people who are not twins listen to these videos as well. Definitely have a listen for that, because these challenging energies of 2020 are essentially the pressure that makes diamonds. And by knowing how to leverage the supportive energies of 2020, you get the opportunity again to get the grace and the gifts on the other side of this year. Because I'm still going to talk about, as we come to the end of this year, a very large union and reunion window opens around the solstice. And I want you guys to have done all the work possible to be prepared when that opens up. Okay? Let's get into the information for twin flames for this particular full moon. I want to walk through how the energies play out so that you understand what's going on for you if you're a divine feminine and what's going on for you if you're a divine masculine. This particular Virgo full moon is a bit of a confusing time, not going to lie. Oftentimes full moons, because we get double light, we get the light of the full moon itself during the day, and then we also get the light of the sun itself, the light of the full moon during the night, light of the sun during the day. The earth is at maximum illumination from the lights in the sky that most deeply impact our energetic movements on the planet. However, this full moon, instead of illuminating a lot of things, is actually confusing a lot of things. This full moon energy is causing us to have the experience, because Neptune's in the mix. There's something we're not seeing, even though it's staring us in the face. And there's some kind of truth that's getting lost in the details and in the minutia of our 3D existence. There's some kind of spiritual truth that we're still not quite grasping on some level. Not to worry, because Mercury going direct is going to hit this spot where Neptune and the moon are, and it's going to illuminate the facts in just a few short weeks. The challenge with this energy is that it's almost as if the necessary spiritual truth to move forward is completely masked by a set of optimism that's going on while Jupiter sits in sextile to the sun and moon energy, and sits in harmony to the moon energy here, sun and Neptune energy, I mean. To complicate things, there's also a little bit of just self-destructiveness in the mix, or not self-destructiveness, self-defensiveness in the mix. There's this energy here that I go in depth about in the general video, but I'm just going to passingly glance over here. There's this little energy between Mars and Pallas, goddess of war, god of war, that is making a square to the divine feminine and the feminine energies within us all, while she is retrograde looking internally. There's a little bit of the feminine energies within us we have our back up a little bit. There's a little bit of defensiveness around what we think we know. And so, anyone who tries to tell us other than what we think we know, there is a little bit of this energy of the audacity. How dare you tell me that I'm the one with the issue? How dare you call me out on the thing I'm already working on? How dare you notice the thing that I have been working so hard to keep hidden, to not be an issue? There's a little bit of that kind of like, ugh, like, gosh, this again. And frustration with ourselves, with other people, with our circumstance, because our vulnerabilities are being so exposed to us, and they're hard to look at this time. They're really hard to look at. And so, with Juno retrograde here, the partnership energy within all of us is just not playing particularly nicely in the sandbox with anyone, because Juno retrograde in the partnership sign, she wants to go inward, reflect on herself. And like I said, the divine feminine this year, like I said in the intro, she's facing the sign of the self. She's actively in partnership of some sort. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, whether you're in separation or you are in some stage of union with your twin, once you've met your twin, you are in a stage of progressing. You are in a union lifetime. You are moving toward union energies. The work, the journey, the bubble that surrounds both of your fields as one field, the union energy is already in your field. But she's sitting here looking at the sign of the self all 2020 long, trying to understand, who is she in the connection? What does she bring to the connection? How does she nourish herself in the connection? This is not, this doesn't make for a smooth connection between both twins, whether you're in a union state or a separation state. This doesn't make things smooth at all. And so some of what's going on during this full moon with, this full moon being right behind her in a blind spot. The moon's going to approach her and allow her to start to see things soon. But right now it's so close behind her, she can't even see it fully. And she's sitting in conjunct, which is a big enough conversation in astrology to be called a no conversation. It's like two people, small room, not looking at each other, not talking. Wow, what is that tension about? She's sitting in an in conjunct place with this Sun Neptune energy, which is causing her to have a dis-ease in between her spirituality and her emotionality. Okay, this is going to start to clear up soon, just not yet. I want you to be on the lookout for a few dates when this stuff is going to start to clear up for divine feminines. The first is, and for all of our feminine energies, the first is March 22nd. Mercury is going to be direct. Mind and communication is what Mercury represents. And then Mercury is going to sextile Neptune here, which represents divine insight, flashes of inspiration, the stroke of genius. Mercury is sitting in a sextile position to Taurus. Uranus is going to allow what's been in the subconscious mind to fully bubble up to the surface so that we can see what's going on in the subconscious. And we'll have epiphanies. The following day, on the 23rd, the waning moon is going to roll over the same spot that the Sun and the Neptune are occupying. Unfortunately, because of the configurations of this, we're not really getting the best energy from Neptune. Neptune really, in the light, in neutrality, let's start there, represents the unseen world. But the unseen world in the shadow, we're getting all sorts of illusions, lies, deceptions. And in the light, we're getting all sorts of spirituality, 5D communication, and blissful states of union with the unseen world, mediumship. We're getting spiritual gifting. But because Mercury is giving us shadow aspects, so shadow aspects are things like squares, conjunctions, and oppositions, we're not getting the best of Mercury. We're getting the kind of the worst of it. So this brings us into conversation with ourselves in a way that's allowing us to lend our energy to self-deception, self-illusion, not seeing things clearly, a separation between spirituality and mentality. They're not talking the way they need to. Once the moon gets out here to the full moon location and passes over this spot where Neptune and the Sun are, we're actually going to get a better view. And the waning moon is going to remove the masks and our inability to see what's going on in the subconscious mind. We'll start to understand why we're behaving the way we're behaving at that time. And then the final date when things are going to start to get more clear is April 6th, when a direct Mercury, here's Mercury, going direct, is out of the retrograde zone. It's still in shadow, but it hits the full moon spot where the sun sits at enough speed to turn the lights on as it approaches a sextile with a conjuncting Jupiter. And so Mercury sextiling Jupiter is going to allow all of our glass half full capacity to meet with our mind so that we're able to see where we've been tripping ourselves up. That is going to be a perfect time to get a personal reading. And again, that's 4/6. And that happens to be, that first week of April happens to be when I'm currently booking for new readings, sold out for March. April first 2 weeks is now open. We want to get readings in during that time, guys, because during that time, those first 2 weeks of April, we're going to have massive illumination about the confusion that just went on in the 4 weeks prior, including this moment. Okay? This will all ultimately be an awakening of how we get in our own way a little bit, particularly with our manifestations, by doing a few things. The first way we can really get in our way is confusing wants with needs when it comes to our manifestations. That's this Pisces energy and this Virgo energy. Pisces is kind of it's the all things, it's going with the flow. Virgo is structure, distinguishing this thing from that thing, plucking one thing out of the ether, giving it a name and a purpose. Confusing wants with needs is something that can happen in the ping pong of Virgo and Pisces energy. The second thing that goes on that really has us trip over our own 2 feet when we're trying to manifest a future for ourselves is letting our ego do the soul's work. And that's one of the challenges that we have going on as Jupiter meets up with Pluto and then sextiles this energy here in Neptune. There's this a little bit of energy that, Jupiter and Pluto getting together, we've got all this ambition to start creating and to this power behind us to move forward, and tons of illusion about the facts of how things need to go with Sun and Neptune conjunct, tons of confusion about some of the necessary steps. And so as a result, the ego's going, yeah, we can do it. Let's dig in. I'm going to meditate and I'm going to check that off my list and I'm going to be good. And the soul's going, yeah, okay, but you still ain't dealt with that issue with your mom. Why haven't you dealt with the issue with your mom? And the ego's going, I'm going to meditate my way through it and get to a higher plane and then I'll talk to her and it'll all be great. And the soul's going, that didn't work last time you talked to your mom, so why aren't you dealing with it more directly? So there's this little bit of an internal challenge that we have with this energy under the Virgo full moon, where we want to do the right thing and somehow we take incorrect measures or means in order to get there. And I mentioned this in the full moon video, the general video. You can see a lot of this playing out on the world stage right now with coronavirus stuff. I won't get too deep into it here, but you can see people, in some places in the world, they want to do the right thing, but they get there by means that have us all slapping our forehead like, oh, how is that helping anybody? I know you want to inform me, but why are you fear-mongering? I know you want to keep me safe, but then why are you not providing early testing? I know you want to make sure that everyone doesn't get sick, but then why are you quarantining a bunch of people who aren't sick with people who are? There's lots of that kind of confusion going on right now. Note, it's temporary. Mercury's movement of direct motion, once it gets through Pisces, is going to clean a lot of this up. I promise things will start to unfold in much cleaner ways, and ways that are a lot more logical and sensical. Mercury retrograde in Pisces was never going to be a great time for logic. It's a great time for spirituality, but not a wonderful time for logic. And so the other way that we can really trip over our own 2 feet with our manifestations at this time is that, some of us are just not really clear about the way the structures in our lives have to change in order to have the kind of life we want. And this brings us to a discussion about the divine masculine. So let's kind of jump in there. And this also applies to divine feminine. We're going to deal with her second, but let's just get into divine masculine energy first. Okay. So with the divine masculine energy, I did speak at length about what divine masculines are going through and how different that is from divine feminines in the 2 videos I put out with the channeled messages for DMs and DFs for this year. 2 completely different paths. As you can see, the divine masculine is sitting here in the sign of structure, facing emotional truths and emotional integrity and soul fam and tribe. Divine feminine sitting in partnership, facing sign of self, figuring out how to balance herself. These are 2 energies not on the same path at all. They are not even congruent or complementary. They are literally moving in 90-degree opposite directions. And so just keep that in mind. Even the tone of the way my guides delivered the information in those 2 videos was so dramatically different that it really embodies the nature of how different this year is for masculine energies and feminine energies. In fact, the guides provided for me in the divine masculine video, they were like, here's a chart, here's a structure for this. We want you to understand there's this path and it has these steps. The steps go in this order, blah, blah, blah. That's a very Capricorn approach to a process. Very Capricorn. Capricorn loves structure and steps. And I've had people underneath that video ask me, hey, can you make a video like this for the divine feminines? And I had to tell them, no, I can't. Because the reality is she's on such a different path. It required the information being delivered in a dramatically different way. It's a channeled set of information that came straight from the divine through the heart center and out of my mouth. That kind of information doesn't require a chart. It requires a capacity to be inside your own internal knowing. That's a different path that she's on. Okay. So with that in mind, I will be linking those videos below this one and a video on heart coherence, because that's really where she needs to be this year. And we'll get into that when we talk about her. Let's see. What's going on for divine masculine? So they're sitting in this 90-degree angle to divine feminines all year. Here's him at 21 degrees Cap. Here's her at 18 degrees Libra. They're both in the same signs all year, no changing, okay? Until late in the year, solstice. This means that the universe is really asking the masculine energy to focus on a completely different set of things than the feminine energy is focused on. If you're a divine masculine, the goal for 2020 is to take the truth that you uncovered in 2019 about how you want to live, about who are you, about what you're here to do on planet Earth. Take the truth that you discovered in 2019, and this is your year to lay a foundation for it in the physical world, to make it possible for it to breathe outside of the incubator of your heart. This is your year to switch up your job, change where you live, end certain marriages or relationships, build other connections and relationships, change the way your investments work, figure out if you're going to sell the house, buy the house, paint the house, build the house. All of this is structural supports for how your dream can be manifested in the world. And many of you already know that if you have certain dreams, certain structures of your life are not compatible at all. And so it's imperative as you move through this year to begin the process of rearranging the components of your life, throwing some things out, winding some things down, building certain things up, opening other things up. Rearrange the components of your life to be compatible so that with the truth you discovered about yourself and your dreams and your hopes and your goals in 2019. Okay? That's an interesting thing, right? Because, you know, one of the things, I wish I had done the DF's energy first here. I may go back to it. But the Divine Feminine's goal this year, because I know most of you are Divine Feminine, to put it really bluntly, is to not lose your ish while he's doing what he has to do. Because he's not going to be focused on you or the connection in the way that he may have been in the past. Even if you're in some sort of union, he's got things he has to do so that things can go deeper. Okay. So, her job is to really be focusing on herself this year, balancing herself out, understanding the difference between what she's giving to herself and the connection. For many of you, learning the very feminine art of receiving from yourself, from life, from the divine, from others. And for some of you, even, I've noticed this coming up in our session, some of you even need to understand what femininity is from a baseline perspective. Like, how is femininity different than masculinity? Why is it valuable? What is its nature? How do you live it? In your work life, in your home life, as a parent, as a daughter, as a sister and friend, how do you embody femininity? That's a big lesson this year for Divine Feminines. And that's not something she can walk into a classroom with Divine Masculines. I mean, I stated this in the introduction to the video. If you happen to skip it, I'm going to restate it now. The real deal is the Divine Feminine is the High Priestess card. The Divine Masculine is, and she knows all things in the tarot. The Divine Masculine is the Magician card. He doesn't know all things, but he has all the tools. So many Divine Feminines get confused about when he is going to wake up and find his way out of being in the Magician card and come sit with her in the Divine Feminine card and know all the things that she knows. Women, that is not his job. We have to let them do their work and understand that it is different than ours. That is not a state of being unawakened, that they don't know all the things that we know. That's a state of them working on mastery on their path. The two are counterparts that make a complete whole. There are two pieces that are two halves of like an apple. You don't get one half to be the other half and then call that whole. That's not it. You have one part of the apple and you have the other part of the apple, and you get what I'm saying. I'm sure somebody will find a way to say it better in the comments because so many of you do. So that being said, let's move on. Understanding and learning how to receive and the qualities of femininity, that is what you're doing this year. He's building a foundation. He's building a table and understanding those tools in the Magician card so that things can build from this moment forward in life. The Divine Masculines are really going to be going through 3 great trials this year. And actually, let me ping pong back and forth. I will come back to Divine Masculines. It actually does make sense to finish the Divine Feminine pieces first because her pieces are really tricky during this full moon. Let me drive these and then I'll drop the DM ones. Because the Divine Feminine has Juno square Mars in Pallas and Jupiter, here's she, here's her. And then over here, square, 90-degree angle, not getting the best of the energies. Here's Jupiter, here's Pallas, here's Mars. That's a lot of masculine energy happening all at one time. It is hyper masculinity. And then here's her exploring femininity and trying to understand, how do I even spell that word, let alone live it? There's not really, you know, there's an energy for divine feminines of not really cutting anyone any slack, because there's an aspect of her femininity that is masculine, that's very self protective at this time, like self protective to the max. There's an energy here of no, I said no, nope, double no, not happening. There's some hard lines around divine feminine energies at this time that you may be noticing as a way of protecting the sensitivity that's opening up within you, that has yet to be explored and will start to come to full blossom at the divine feminine's new moon, the Taurus new moon, in a couple of months. But the walls that you're feeling, the protectiveness that you're feeling, the self defensiveness that you're feeling, this is your own masculine energy within you going, okay, we need to double down. We need to build, some safety around us, because we're about to give birth to something really soft and very vulnerable within our femininity, and we want to make sure that it's safe. Okay. For those of you who are in union, you may find that there's a real tension between what your personal life is asking you to focus on and what the structure of the connection needs. In fact, if you're in a union state with your twin person, you may see that between the two of you, there are some real differences of opinion about who picks up the kids, the working hours, how to build your dreams, when you and your counterparts' energies are so focused in various different directions and not on the same page. That's okay. Allow the tension to surface. Note the patterns and themes. As soon as we get through that clarity window, Mercury going direct all the way through the divine masculine's full moon, March 24th, things will start to become clear. Divine feminines, you may also notice that you're not really on the same page either with an ex-husband or ex-partner, a soulmate. The energies of the men who aren't your twin are also not really feeling particularly savory at this time. You may even feel either a little attacked by the universe, abandoned by them, a need to retreat. With Juno going retrograde and not moving forward, you may feel a need to retreat and figure out, hold up, what's the pattern here? What's the pattern within the connection so that I can understand how I'm contributing to it and move past this? Okay. This particular full moon is just allowing us to all be in the discomfort of what's not working. And the more you can map the patterns now and see the themes, the easier it's going to be to put the pieces together when the illumination period comes at the end of this month. With Pallas, the protector, and Juno, divine femininity in square in particular, because Pallas, Athena here, she's known as the feminine counterpart to Mars, but she's also a protector of woodland life, a protector of animals and the forests. With Athena here really being in a square position to Juno, and again, squares bring out shadow energies. They don't give us high vibes. And we're all of our feminine energies may find that we feel a little short-tempered in our connections, short-fused, unwilling to compromise, and really like quick to go to battle, quick to self-defend. Stay as patient with yourself as possible if you see that coming up. Be as graceful and forgiving with the people in your world if you're noticing that within yourself or within them. And ask for grace and forgiveness. Let people know, hey, I'm working through some stuff. This isn't, that way I snapped, that wasn't really you. And it's definitely not how I want to be with you. So, I'll get around to talking to it when I'm ready, but just know that that's not how I want us to be. Those kind of conversations can go a long way right now if you find that you're short fused. The divine feminine in conjunct Neptune and the sun here. We did talk about this. There's a little bit of an energy of feeling cut off spiritually and emotionally. It's like, it's hard to find spiritual truths in this energy. And the inverse is also true. It's hard. We may be spiritually clearer than ever, but also ice cold emotionally, completely cut off and numb. Um, Not to worry, as soon as Mercury goes direct and finds its way out of Aquarius, air sign, and back into emotional water sign Pisces, everything will find its way back into right balance. Okay. Um, we also have the divine feminine square the lunar eclipse point. That's out here. Okay, so this is really important. This lunar eclipses bring completions and endings brought by the universe's hand. Solars bring beginnings and openings. This lunar eclipse point brings as a square to the divine feminine's energy a bit of a rashness within our feminine energies with things that needed to end. Um, Either there's a stubborn emotional clinging to what has clearly already been demonstrated as done, where the writing's on the wall, we're just not letting it go. We keep trying to resuscitate you know, something that's not coming back to life. So there's either that on one extreme, given that she's in the process of exploring extremes this year with this ping-ponging pendulum action in Libra, the sign of balance. But on the other extreme, if it's not that, it's a refusal to let this unfold naturally and on its own terms, and instead kicking the whole thing to the curb to spare yourself any more pain in the connection. So it's like, no, I don't want things with my twin or my soulmate to end. Or it's like, this has been so painful. I'm kicking the whole thing to the curb just so that I can be in control of the ending and not have to let this long, drawn out, slow peeling back of the Band-Aid hurt so much. I'm going to be real honest with the DFs who are listening. And for anyone listening who, is recognizing this in your own feminine energy, 2020 is not an easy year, man. It's just not. It's a year of extremes. And this is, I think, why my guides provided the messaging that they provided back in November about how to start managing and working with this energy in the Divine Feminine's 2020 Channeled Messages video. They spoke at length about needing to get into states of heart coherence. Because the heart itself holds cells that are also found in the brain. And when you can get into a state of getting those cells in the heart and the brain to vibrate at the same frequency, you're no longer split in two. You no longer need to live at extremes. You can find your way to a centered place in your own heart. And that's one of the 6 tips that they provided to being working with these energies here in 2020. I'll link that video underneath here so that you can find your way to it. But the heart coherence practices are what's really going to keep divine feminines off the ledge in 2020 and from accidentally sabotaging themselves and the connection. Because whatever you're feeling now, this is not a final state. As soon as the Divine Feminine goes direct on May 26th, the energies are going to start to shift again. And there's going to, even though there's a concentrated deepening and a slow deepening of a particular state right now, after May 26th, come June, there's going to be a new state that comes online for Divine Feminine. So, to not lose it, it's really going to be important to be very centered and very grounded this year. One of the things I'm considering to support the collective with that is bringing back the Christ consciousness meditations that I did during the 1212 portal. For those of you who are familiar with that, thinking about doing that once a week to assist the collective with that heart coherent state. If that's something you might want to have, would you please let me know in the comments? If it's highly requested enough, I may set up a weekly time where we can meditate together and create a unified heart field among divine feminine energies. All right, now let's get back into what's going on with the divine masculines. As I said in the last video, the the Pisces new moon video, this is a bit of a like pregnant pause for them. Pregnant pause, it's the quiet before the battle or the tension before you walk into battle. This is a moment of time where they have just a little bit, not a lot, a little bit of respite before the ish hits the fan and stuff starts really taking off at a very quick, momentous rate as we move through the rest of 2020. So there's going to be 3 major tests for DMs coming this year. If you're a divine masculine energy, listen up. You're going to want to know it so that you can understand what you're dealing with. The 3 major tests have to do with the connection of Jupiter to the following points. Just pointing them out here. The first test has already happened. Okay. This was number 1 here, and that happened on January 8th, 2020, right around the time of that lunar eclipse that caused great endings. We're 60 days out from that eclipse. Whatever was going to end has already ended at this point. Again, this is really a full moon about not trying to ignore the writing on the wall. This was when the divine masculine energy met the South Node, and the meeting of Jupiter and the South Node would have allowed the divine masculine to confront karma, to confront bad seeds sown, to confront things built in the past that are currently getting in the way of what it is you want to manifest in 2020. So this could have been past relationships, past financial decisions, past lovers, past job commitments, past loans. And because Capricorn really does also indicate government and institutional arrangements. All those things may have come up around the start of the year. For you to kind of look at, okay, gotta clean that up. If I'm gonna manifest this new future, I can't have this in the way. Let me go ahead and start the process of cleaning that up. While you're in the process of cleaning that up, trial number 2 begins to arrive. And we're in the energy where you can feel trial number 2 now, and that's this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Jupiter and Pluto meet 3 different times this year: April 5th, June 29th, and November 12th. These energies of this conjunction, this is a big one. Jupiter heads into the underworld, where Pluto is lord of, and goes forward, then back, and then forward again. So through the underworld, back through the underworld, and then back forward through the underworld to the other side. Whew. Pluto's not really known for being kind to people who want to leave the underworld. This is, as you're preparing for this test, divine masculines, you may have found that you've pushed your divine feminine away without truly knowing why. Here's the deal. The reason you can't have her standing so close to you while you move through this particular test is because, Pluto doesn't really like things. One of the rules of the underworld is that you don't get to come back once you're in there. You arrive by ferry, you have to pay a price to the ferryman to get there. And even though you get to this place, let me, how to put this? Once you get to this place, your heart is laid bare and you're judged by the kind of person you've allowed yourself to become. That's what this is. It's a very stripping energy where you really have to confront your own ego. Because this is all happening in the sign of Capricorn, which is physical manifestation. This is really kind of a character test that's about our self-worth and our worthiness and the kind of world that we want to create. In other words, all of our masculine energies are going to be asked, are you capable and worthy of what you say you want? It's the work that we've done this year, 2019 and 2018, that will dictate how we come through this trial. Jupiter meets Pluto once every 12 years or so. So if you want to dig deeper into what that energy is about, there will be a link below this video from astrologer. What's her sweet name? Is it Jessica Adams? Yeah, Jessica Adams, who will clarify that there is some precedence for what this is going to be like. I'll give you guys a little spoiler alert. The light always wins. So have some hope here, but definitely do your work. Okay. Then the final trial is out here when Saturn or Jupiter meets Saturn. And that'll be toward the end of this year near the solstice. When I looked at this date initially, my guides were like yelling at me, unions, unions, reunions, unions. This is going to be a time of a ton of unions and reunions, given what the astrology looks like. I'll be here to talk about it then. But it's really going to be contingent upon each twin's ability to work the energies of this year like champions. Divine Feminine, don't lose your ish while he's over here working on foundation. Divine Masculine, don't get distracted. Do what you have to do. If the connection's real, she's not going anywhere, okay? So keep that in mind. Different paths to union, okay? But it's really about doing your piece of the work. And thanks to a handy little series of events, how did I want to put this? Where do my notes say? Yeah, Mars conjunct Pluto. Okay, right. So this energy here that's also interesting is there's Mars, Pallas, and Jupiter sitting together. God and Goddess of War sitting with the Divine Masculine. He's essentially getting ready for battle at this point in time. He's making his prayers, clarifying his energy. This is, again, for Divine Feminines, this is not a time to get in the way. He may not have separated himself from you appropriately or clearly or in a way that is, honoring of the connection. But ladies, let this man go do what he has to do. He'll be back, okay? Even if it doesn't look like he's preparing for the battle on the outside, and with Jupiter trying the full moon and sextile Mars, I'm going to tell you now, I know it doesn't look like that. It looks like he's out here playing video games. But this is the kind of energy of the athlete who obsessively plays those video games before a big match or a tournament. It's part of the way they get in the zone. And they're on a short fuse if you interrupt them. This is those tight muscles just before battle. And so whether you're in varying states of union or a state of separation coming into union, many divine masculines are going to be needing their space at this time. And the masculine energy in you as a divine feminine is going to need its space to properly provide and protect for your own feminine energy for the trials ahead for you. So that clarifies, kind of what's about to happen and why this full moon and the last new moon were a little weird. Things get a little clearer coming forward, but just understand that, twins, you've completed a cycle. A new one is beginning, but it's not without its trials. And it's definitely both of you walking round the island on separate sides so that you can meet back up at the tip of it at the end. All right. Don't get stuck here and let the other person keep going, because you want to be at where you're supposed to be at the tip of the island on the other side when they get there too. So if you're curious about your own individual chart, you can book a personal reading with me at this time. Like I said, personal readings are what's available until the energy shifts, and I'm really guided to start providing twin flame readings again. We're only doing personal readings. Otherwise, you can do twin flame stuff with me in the single question mini readings. Again, they are single question, not multi-question. And those will be on Saturday the 14th, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean. Check your internet for local time zones. Wednesday the 25th at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Greenwich Mean, on the mini reading channel. The mini reading channel is not the channel where you found this video. You want to subscribe and hit that notification bell on K Moon Live. That's where you'll find me when I do mini readings, okay? And then I think that's it. Oh yeah, join me for the Twins in Union panel. That will be on, where is the date for that? The Twins in Union panel will take place on Friday, March 27th at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean. I am not someone who can help you understand how to navigate this period of, if there is a period of separation or different pathness with your twin. I am a glorified town crier, hall monitor, first semester back at college. I can tell you where your classroom is, but the Twins in Union, whom I'm bringing to the panel, they all know what kind of work needs to be done and how to do it. I'm bringing them together in one place so that you can be able to understand, find who resonates for you, get into the work for yourself, and have a way to stay focused during this period of time on what you personally need to do, because what they're going to get up to is going to, this year, it's not going to be the same thing as you. And we need to have space to allow that, to let the divine feminine be on her path and the divine masculine be on his, so that we can each grow toward that foundational union point by doing the work that we're individually asked to do. The Twins in Union panel will help you find guides who can facilitate your growth with you this year. All right. And that's it. I know this was a lengthy video, but I love you for sticking in there. Looking forward to hearing how all this resonates for you in the comment section below. Take great care, and bye for now.